Okay, so yesterday we did one-step equations. Today what we're gonna do is how to solve a two-step equation. We're gonna be doing the almost exact same thing, except now our problem's just getting a little bit bigger. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna solve for our variable. First thing we gotta do is find our variable. So I've got a whole bunch of problems lined up. We're just gonna get into it, show you how to prove what that variable represents. So a lot of times the question is well, how much is the value of x, or solve for x, or something along that lines that tells you, hey, we want to know how much is that variable worth. That's what we're trying to do here. Again, it's an equation, one side set equal to the other side, so they're saying, hey, everything that goes on over here is equal to whatever's over here, okay? So we're going to draw our line, and what I do to one side, I'm going to do to the other side. Except now, instead of just having one step, I've got two steps, or multiple steps. All right, so first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna locate my variable. Well, here's my variable, x, and then I'm gonna do the thing that's furthest away, but it's on the same side of the equal sign. So notice how this 2 is directly up against this x. Well, that's 2 times x plus 5. See how the 5 is further away from the x, physically further away? Well, that means I'm gonna deal with this first. And really what we're doing is reverse operations. We're getting rid of everything as we go. So I want to get rid of this plus 5 first, okay? So, because in orders of operations, what I would do first is 2 times x, and then I would add the 5 together, right? So we're going to reverse engineer this thing. We're going to go backwards, okay? So here we're going to get rid of this. How do we get rid of plus 5? I add its opposite, plus negative 5, or I could just subtract out 5. Whichever one you're more comfortable with. I'm more comfortable with adding the opposite, the inverse of it. So plus negative 5, okay? And the whole point of this is to get the variable all by itself. That's what we're trying to do, isolate the variable, all right? So these cancel out. And on this side, all I have left is this 2x, so I'm gonna bring that down. 2x equals, because these two cancel out. That's the whole point. 2x equals 11 plus negative 5. Well, a positive plus a negative. Subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. So subtract these. 6. 11 is bigger than the negative 5, so positive 6. Now I'm into a one-step equation. I've taken a two-step, now I'm into a one-step. 2x equals 6. Opposite operation. Divide by 2, divide by 2, these cancel out, x equals 3. And now if I want to check this, because we should check our work to make sure we're right, I'm going to take this and I'm going to plug it back into here. Okay, so I'm going to plug this back in here. Well, 2 times 3, 6, plus 5 is 11. If those equal out, we're good. Okay, make sure you check. Especially if you're doing Get More Math, because we don't want to do more problems than we have to. So check it before you plug it in. Make sure you're right. All right. Again, draw my line. It's the same thing. Solving a two-step equation. Locate my variable. Find what's furthest away from it. Well, minus 9, because this 3 is directly up against it, so minus 9. Well, the opposite of this, there's two different ways you could do this. You could do click, click. Turn that into plus negative 9. Or you can know that that goes with that. I'm going to do that. Make it a little bit cleaner for me. So I'm adding a negative 9. Well, in order to get rid of it, I can add a positive 9. Also positive 9 here. Okay. Gets me 3x equals, and then 9 plus 6, 15. And now I'm to my one-step equation. All right. Here's my x, 3 times x, opposite operation of that is division. Divide by 3, divide by 3. These two cancel out because that's the whole point, is to get that x all by itself. Cancel those out. X equals 5. Okay. Once you learn how to do a one-step equation, two steps become a little bit easier. Because all you're doing is taking a little step at a time. A little bit at a time. Okay? And I'm writing it down so that I don't make a mistake and forget to do to both sides, or just skip a step on accident. I'm following the steps and I'm writing it down write this stuff down because these problems get harder as you go forward. All right, same thing, just it's on the opposite side. So first thing I'm going to do, draw my line, locate my variable. Now, negative 2x minus negative 5. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here, I'm going to deal with this double negative right here, this minus a negative. Click, 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 click. Minus that negative, I'm going to get rid of that. I don't want that. All right, now, here's my variable. This is further away than this. So now, how do I get rid of this? Well, I add a negative 5 plus a negative 5. And how did I know I started with this? Well, this negative 2 is directly up against this x, and this is further away, so I'm going to deal with that first. Okay? So here, these cancel out. Now I've got negative 1 plus negative 5. Signs are the same, they're being added together. Just add them together, keep the sign. Negative 6 equals, what's left over here is this negative 2x. Negative 2x. Okay? Now how do I get rid of this? A lot of you, again, like I talked about on my other video, is watch this, because this one, a lot of people make mistakes on this. They try and add a positive 2 here to get rid of it. That's not what's happening here. You got negative 2 times x. Okay, negative 2 times x, so the opposite of that is division. So divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. These cancel out and get you x just left over here, because that's the whole point. Get the x by itself. Negative 6 divided by negative 2, and negative divided by negative gets you a positive, and then 6 divided by 2 gets you 3. And I know I'm going through these fast, but guys, once you see them and you work step by step, it gets easier. So x equals 3, and again, if I want to check it, I take this 3 and I plug it back into that original bill, and I follow orders of operations to check it. Should come out to negative 1. If I did it correctly, that's what you'll have. Okay? Now, right over here, 5 minus x equals 3. Again, draw your line. Okay? Here's my variable, thing that's furthest away, 5. Well, how do I get rid of that 5? Well, this is a positive 5, so I can add a negative 5. I can also just subtract 5, that would work. Plus negative 5, plus negative 5. These two cancel out, because that's what we're trying to do. And when you bring this down, that goes with that. So you have to bring that down. So negative x, or minus x, equals 3 plus negative 5. Signs are different. Subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. So negative 2. But now I'm not done, because I don't have this all by itself. It's got this negative sign in front of it. Just like we did on that last one from my other video, we're going to put a 1 in front of it. And now we're going to divide through by this negative 1 here, because that negative 1 is being multiplied times that x. Divide by negative 1, divide by negative 1, they cancel out. X equals 2. Okay? Negative divided by a negative, positive, and 2 over 1 just gets you 2. Okay? X equals 2. Again, check it. Before you go on, check it. Plug that in there. 5 minus 2 gets me 3. I'm good to go. Okay? Be careful with those. All right. So a lot of those had multiplication in front of them. Now we get into these, we have division. Doesn't change anything though. Go find your variable. That's the first thing, because we're solving for that variable. We can get it all by itself. So here's my variable. What's furthest away? Notice how that's directly underneath it? That is right, essentially right next to it. X divided by 5. This minus 3 is further away. So if I was doing orders of operations, I would divide here first, then subtract out 3. Right? That's how we determine what we're doing. Right? Is if I was following orders of operation, I'd have to do this first. So I need to get rid of this before I can deal with this. That's the way that kind of works. All right, so minus 3 or plus a negative 3. Okay? Well, how do I get rid of that? I add a 3 to both sides. Okay? These cancel out. Now all I have left is x over 5 equals, x over 5 equals 2 plus 3, 5. But now I have x divided by 5 Well, the opposite operation, this is division, I use multiplication, so I'm gonna multiply by a 5 on both sides to clear this 5 over here. This cancels this, leaves me with an x equals, and 5 times 5, 25. Okay? There's not much to this, just watch, pay attention to what you're doing. Okay? All over here, draw my line, locate my variable. Here's my variable. Again, it's the same setup as over here, except now I got a positive 2 here. Well, how I clear that out? Plus a negative 2, plus a negative 2. These cancel out and leave me with negative 7 plus negative 2 gets me negative 9 equals, and I have x over 3 left over here. X over 3. Well, now how do I get rid of this 3? X divided by 3, opposite operation, multiply by 3. But what I do to here, I have to do here. I'm going to go ahead and put this in parentheses just so that I can show that that is not minus 9, that that's still multiplying 9. Okay, so these cancel out. All right, negative or positive times a negative gets me a negative. 3 times 9, 27 equals, and all I have left over here is your x. Again, take this, plug it in, solve it, make sure you got it right. If this goes in here and you get a negative 7 equals negative 7, you got a correct answer. You're good to go. All right, so this is really the division. Every now and then you'll see something kind of where they're trying to trick you here like this. Now notice, you got negative x over negative 4 equals 20. If you've got a negative divided by negative, you really got a positive. These two negatives here cancel out. And what you end up with is this x over 4 equals 20. Okay? Those negative signs can cancel each other out. If they just have 1 and it's up here at the top, you can float it down here to the bottom and divide out. So watch that. Okay? But now you still have to solve. Well, divide by 4, so we're going to multiply by 4, multiply by 4. These two cancel out, and you have x equals 80. Draw a line. Okay? There's that. All they're trying to do is trick you right there. If you got negative over a negative, cancel those two things out, but make sure there's nothing else added onto it, kind of like there is here. Okay? Now notice, you have x minus 5 divided by 4. This is where that whole, what thing is furthest away comes into play. Well, you see how this negative 5 is up here on top with that x? This 4 is actually further away than this negative 5. Think of this like a grouping thing. These two go together. Okay? But you're going to do this. You have to subtract this 5 out before you divide by 4. That's the way that works. So what we're going to do is we're going to clear this 4 down here, and then we're going to deal with that minus 5. Okay? Well, the way we clear that 4, it's being divided, so we're going to multiply times 4 times 4, and these cancel out and leave me with this x minus 5 equals 20. Okay, now I'm into a one-step equation. Click, click, plus 5. Again, this is a negative 5, so plus positive 5, plus 5 over here. These cancel out, and all I have is x equals 25. All right, that right there is most of the two-step equations that you're going to see. Watch the signs, because they like to throw in the signs in different places and try and confuse you there. But just watch your sign rules, watch where they place the signs. But if you're good with your sign rules, this gets easier the more you do it. Show your work. Do not try to do this in your head. Show your work. Write it down and line it up, and notice every one of these that I work comes down just like a tornado. Every one of them as I go down. So pay attention to them. Watch what they do. Notice how they come down, and I should draw this line just so that you can see it as we do these. They all come down to tornadoes. Okay? Watch those. Pay attention to them. If you run into problems, let me know, here to help.